Hi, thank you both so much for joining me here today. Can you please share both of your first names?
I'm Scott.
I'm Amanda.
Awesome. So now we're going to get into the questions. How have you, your family, or someone you know struggled to find or keep a safe, decent place to live?
I have two friends who in the past year or so have struggled with landlords raising their rent very quickly and without much notice. So one of my friends, I work with her and she has a small child and is married as well. And they got like 3 months notice their rent was going up $400 and they weren't able to get out of it unless they got a new place. And so they found a new place, but it was only available like right away. So to get a place they could afford, they had to break their previous lease, which was $3,000 to break the lease. So now they're just paying both rents for the next couple months. The new place that they got is better, and they like it better, and it fits their lifestyle better they needed like an extra room for the baby, but they're spending a lot more than they needed to for like 3 months, or they had to pay a big chunk of money up front, which they didn't have access to.
And didn't this make them move 3 times in 1 year?
They had to move 3 times in like 1 year. Yeah. And they're not even trying to live like close to anywhere. They're like pretty much on the outskirts of town. So where it's much more affordable. And then I had another friend who, in the middle of the pandemic, she was a server. So she was laid off. Her landlord raised her rent by $130 with like a month's notice. And she had already paid 3 months in advance. And he fought her on that because she'd paid the lower rate. Like through June, she had paid the lower rate she was paying. And when they finally gave in and let her do that, then when they sent her the lease renewal at the end of June, they'd raised it by $175 instead of just the $130 to begin with. And she's having trouble like with them fixing the heat and with mice and rats and other problems in her apartment. And she has a kid as well. And she's a single mom. So just lots of things like that just make it a lot more difficult for people to just live their life.
Is her having to send Asher to another location have to do with the housing because she couldn't get internet?
Yeah, there was no internet available in her neighborhood. There was internet available in her neighborhood with like one company, but not any of the companies that were providing internet for free for school age kids. And since she wasn't making any money, she couldn't afford to buy the internet at that point in time. And so she has it now finally. But back when everything started, she had to send her kid Asher to live with his dad for like an entire school year because he couldn't do school at home because she couldn't get internet because the government programs didn't provide internet for her neighborhood, which is it's a pretty low income neighborhood, which is where you should be providing internet. So
Exactly. Wow, my goodness. So then going off of this, why is it important to both of you that Bread pushes for more affordable housing?
Well, just those stories alone, but just living as an adult for the past 20 some odd years, housing has never been cheap and it's always been a problem. So it's important that Bread works on affordable housing because enough is enough with this particular issue. I've never paid less than 50% of my income for housing. And even some of the programs that I think even we might have qualified for in the past, if not now, we didn't know about that. So there's all kinds of problems with affordable housing, not the least of which is knowing how to go get it. But of course, the availability would be the first thing. And I think it's important that Bread works on affordable housing because it's a solution that seems to be winnable when we're living in a kind of top-down society where housing has to be provided because wages aren't high enough. So we can't really do a ton. We don't work on a state level very much. We work on local levels. So we can't raise a municipal minimum wage because the state of Ohio has said that you're not allowed to do that. So things like that we could do, but we can't because of that particular sort of statute in the state of Ohio. So we can't raise wages. We can't convince our corporate partners to pay people properly. So at the least we could do is get the housing sector to sort of participate in actually helping people to live and work in the city of Columbus.
Yep.
Okay.
You said pretty much everything. I think it's important that people are able to live close to where they work as well. And specifically in downtown Columbus, that's just not a possibility. People that work down there, work at restaurants, work at retail stores, they're not getting paid where they can get a $2,000 a month studio. So they have to live farther away, which means they need a car, or they need to rely on public transportation, which can cause them to be late or cause them to then lose jobs. And it's just not an ideal situation.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Just imagine the environmental impact that could be lessened if everyone could actually live in the same place where they worked. And it's impossible in a lot of cities, and we're not alone in that, I guess, but it's definitely here for sure.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you guys so much. Is there anything else you want to add to either of these questions, or something else that comes to mind? If not, totally fine.
I can't think of anything.
No, I think I shared all the stories that I had in advance. So
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for taking time out of your day to meet with me. Really appreciate it. And yes, have a good rest of your day. Bye.